Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Kirk Morris. Another brand new episode of the Paddle Down Podcast, episode 5, I do believe. How's everybody feeling about the new season? 2022-2023, 2 weeks in. And there's been some standouts. There has been some standouts in the goaltending position in the AHL. I am going to get to my top 5. Originally, this episode was going to be me going through every tandem in the league. That would be boring as far as I'm concerned. I just want to talk about the good goaltenders. Not going to talk about the lower tiers and the tankers and all that good stuff. You know, fail hard for Bedard? I think that's the new chant. Things aren't looking too rosy there in Vancouver nowadays, I can tell you that much. Oof. Bruce, there he isn't. Oof. Scary, scary stuff if you're a Canucks fan. And I've been there as an Oilers fan, as an Oilers supporter. When you see your jersey being tossed on the ice, God only knows what the players thinking, like, this is it. This is the lowest I think you can go. And I've seen it numerous times in Edmonton. So what does Vancouver do? You know, you really can't blame this on Demko. He's played the bulk of the game so far. He hasn't been, I would say, 100% spot on. Like, he can only do so much, though. It's kind of on your defense. And with Quinn Hughes out, your number one D-man out, it's going to be tough sledding for them for a little while longer until either there's a change implemented or they just get better and everybody pulls up their boots and grabs their lunch pails and goes to work. But I gotta say, I am not surprised about Logan Thompson and the job he's done so far in Las Vegas. I'm not surprised. After seeing him in the last quarter of the season there last year, you know, talk about a phoenix rising out of the ashes. At one point I read, you know, and it's so, I guess it would be cliched, you know, is this it? Is this what I'm going to do? You talk about like Arbor Shekash. I think that's the guy. I think that's, or Jack Eye, sorry, not active. Wi-Fi. Here you go. Wi-Fi. Same thing. Like he went undrafted. I think he played his last game there with Hamilton, won the Memorial Cup, and didn't have a job. You know, he didn't have an outlet, didn't know where he was going. Got offered a tryout there with Montreal, and then got offered a contract right out of rookie camp. You know, I think it was rookie camp, or it could have been the preseason too. I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. But you talk about Logan Thompson, you know, going through the paces, going through the long road taken to get to the NHL and then to stay here. You know, you have to have a little luck along the way. You have to have some things going for you. And boy, oh boy, has he risen to the occasion. You know, he's answered all his critics and you know, the eye test numbers there, and then you look at his advanced stats, it's just like, holy smokes. You can't you can't deny that he's a good goaltender. I know the season's early. I know it's the first 2 weeks. But you can't, you just can't. If you're a Las Vegas fan, you got to be hyped. You got to be stoked. You know, this kid's standing on his head every night, giving the team ahead, you know, in front of him a chance to win. You know, 3-2-0, 203 goals against average, 931 save percentage. You can't ask for any more than that, man. Seriously. And I'm just going to punch up his advanced numbers here. Like, his WAR rating is 0.57. Not too far from, you know, he's number 6 in the league here as of today, October 25th, 2022. He is number 6th. He is 6th in the league. Carter Hart's number 1. Big shocker there. You want to talk about a breakout. Talk about a phoenix rising out of the ashes there too. You know, what a hell of a start for Carter Hart. I'm not a poet, and you wouldn't know it. But seriously, like he 4-0 start, 175, 1.75 goals against, 949 save percentage in 4 games. But that whole team has been playing superb under their new coach, none other than John Tortorella. And I've been a big supporter of the defensive. What is the defensive system deployed in front of the goaltender? That's huge. If you get your guys, your defense, and even your forwards to chip in, man, oh man, the goaltender he's going to be seeing beach balls all night long. If you're Carter Hart, you got to be loving life so far. First two weeks of the season, you can't go wrong with that. Felix Sandstrom, on the other hand, he hasn't had the best looks. He's been given it back-to-back starts, like the second half of back-to-back start. It's not good. Excuse me. And he's still looking for his first NHL win. And Mike McKenna there, great follow on Twitter. Former pro goalie. He said, he said, I think I'm quoting him as he said on Twitter, 5 of the last 7 starts have been on back-to-backs. You're not giving your goaltender a chance to win. And that's the life of a backup. You're going to be tossed grenades all night long. You just, you got to, like I said, you got to give your goaltender a little bit of a boost. You got to, give him a little bit of a hand there. Try to block some more shots, that kind of stuff. Get in lanes. Let him see. And I watched him play against Florida, and man, oh man, he had some great moments. Just bad luck chances. Puck luck, I guess you could say. And then his tracking, I thought, was a little bit off. But that's just me. I'm not a pro. I'm just a fan of goaltending. I'm not going to speak on experience. I've only ever played 3 years of goaltending there, and that's when I was way younger, about 30 years ago, to tell you the truth. So, and the position has changed. It's been bounds and leaps since I played, so I'm not going to sit here and talk trash on an NHL backup, that's for darn sure, but you got to feel for the guy. The other breakout I was going to talk about, actually 2 more I was going to talk about, was Jordan Binnington. And as an Oilers fan, he stood on his head. And it was, I got to say, since last season in the playoffs, he's been playing awesome. 3-0, undefeated, 165 goals against average, 940 save percentage. Can't ask more than that from a guy that's, took you to Stanley Cup there a few years back. Kind of lost a step there last year, but this year, he's breaking out once again, just like he did there in the playoffs last year when Husso wasn't his greatest. And then I got to talk about Eric Comrie of the Buffalo Sabres. I joked when I said this, back in the summer. What if the Oilers actually got Eric Comrie? After seeing him play there that last stretch there last season there for Winnipeg, they kind of messed up and they kind of shot themselves in the foot. All he had to play was 90 more minutes there, and he would have still been under contract. Still would have had RFA rights for the Winnipeg Jets. It's just shoulda, woulda, coulda, I guess. And then you have to go ahead and sign Big Save Dave. I'm not going to go there as an Oilers fan. You could talk about that stick toss all day long. His life hasn't been the same since. But anyways, I digress. Talking about Eric Comrie there, like a heck of a start there when Buffalo came out west. 2-1-0 with a 301 goals against average and a 930 save percentage. They were shooting the lights out between Edmonton and Calgary. They tried both to solve them there, and both times he came up with wins. W's in his hip pocket there. So, never. you can never predict these things the way that you want them to go. As far as goaltenders, they're wild cards. They're absolute voodoo. You have no idea where they're going to go and how long they're going to last if they get injured and all that good stuff. But I will say this, there's a lot of road left to go here in the season. But you take a look likes of like James Reimer and Ilya Samsonov, Jake Ottinger. There's another guy. Like, he's just the top 10 of the league it's golden, and it's just even Craig Anderson. He's for WAR rating, he's 10th, 41 years old, 41 years young, the way you want to look at it. Seriously. Goaltender musical chairs this last season too, but he opted to stay. And I tomorrow night I'm going to bring on, or the next podcast I should say, the next episode, I'm going to bring on. I don't even think I could call him the rookie anymore there, but Jeff Aid. He's part of our network. They're the Heavy Hockey Network, and he's a humongous. He's a lifelong Sabres fan. And if you're a Sabres fan right now, man, you gotta be super stoked about this team, the way they're playing, and the way their goaltending is. Like that. It's been a mash unit for the last couple of years, but you got to be super stoked. And then you see Craig Anderson playing like a 25-year-old out there too. It's really, really inspiring to see. I wish I had his chops. I'd probably still be playing there too. Just joking. But anyways, the main thing I wanted to talk about today, and it's no surprise, Carey Price yesterday had a half-hour press conference to the media there in Montreal at Brassard, and he basically gave an update on his health. Now, it's no secret about his health problems. And what he went through last year there with going through the players' rehabilitation program, NHLPA program, and then he came back. He was getting better. He was going back on the ice, rehabbing and whatnot. And I'll never forget the last game last year, and he just didn't look like himself at all. He did not look like himself, period. And it was kind of disheartening to see. And I know how much he loves the game. I've been a staunch fan. I've been a staunch supporter of him since his junior days. And to see him on the brink of retirement, it's kind of, it's like, wow, this is it. He's only 34 years old. He still wants to come back. That was the first thing he talked about. He said he had zero plans to retire yet. He did no plans whatsoever. He didn't want to throw in the towel. He wanted all options on the table. And he's working on being pain-free in his daily life. That's his first goal. And that's a big thing. He talked about the, to see the young goalies, the young players in the league there today, and just he didn't lie. He didn't sugarcoat anything. He said he's completely envious. He wants to be out there playing, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. He in the summer there, his end of the year presser there last season, it was pretty damning. Like he basically said, I want to, go see I want to have a second opinion on my health problems. And he went to New York there in the summer months. They kind of assessed him, said, you know what, surgery is suggested a second time around. And he talked about it in depth, which I'm not going to talk about on here. Basically, in a nutshell, it's a 50-50 shot of getting better. And he would consider it only the surgery only if it was impacting his day-to-day life, let alone playing on the rink. He's also said there, like yesterday, he said the rehab hasn't been successful. Successful. He would be open to cortisone injections if he did see progress. But the main thing is he's going to be out for the entirety of this season, probably next season, at minimum. He talked about, talking to former players, former goaltenders there too that went through the same problems, and it's a minimum of a year, bare minimum. He talked about his knees, his ankles, and his hips, like he just pure pain. And he says, like the best advice he can give anybody, whether it's a goaltender or defenseman or a forward or a black ace or whoever, just take care of yourself, he said, both physically and mentally. And he he was pretty candid. He didn't hold anything back. He said, "I'm not done yet." He says he wants to come back and play eventually. Now, when that's going to be, he said there's zero timeline on that. And I feel for the guy. He's kind of seeing the other side of the grass here right now as far as hanging out with his family. He said, when I pick up my kids, I have pain. He says, I don't want that in my everyday life. Do you really blame the guy? I don't. He basically said there in the end, he said there it might be an outside hope, a miracle that he comes back and gets to play and challenge for a Stanley Cup. In any position, he said. He joked about that too. And one of the reporters joked back, "Oh, you want to play winger?" And he just kind of laughed and he said, "Sure, I like to snipe a few at a goalie's head." I thought that was pretty hilarious. But all jokes aside, you got to feel for the guy. He left it all out there. So make of it as what you will. If he does decide to retire, somewhere down the road, can you say that he's a Hall of Famer? He didn't win a Stanley Cup, but boy, oh boy, like his accolades there, like his stats alone, I would say yes. 2-time gold medalist. I think he won it 2 times, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, like that win in Sochi was that was pure domination. That entire team was loaded, though. You got a Team Canada, like that 2014 team was absolutely loaded. Like they didn't skip a beat. The last thing I want to talk about today. So I wish Kerry all the best. Him and his family all the best. Sorry, I kind of jumped the gun here. I just want to wish Kerry all the best. Just get sending well wishes his way, and I'd like, as a fan of his, I'd like to see him play again on the big stage. But it's right now it's a long shot. At least that's my judgment call. But I'm not Carey Price. So the last thing I want to talk about, and shout out to the new kids on the block here at Heavy Hockey. I got to give a shout out to Cody Jansen and everybody at the World Hockey Report. Stellar group of people brought on here. And Cody tweeted out there tonight that Bob Nicholson, in lieu of all the allegations against Hockey Canada, Bob Nicholson has been subpoenaed to testify in court November 15th in Ottawa. That's what Rick Westhead actually reported. It was a tweet by Cody Jansen there, and I was just like, whoa. they're not beating around the bush. I can guarantee you, though, that Bob Nicholson's going to throw every wrench in the book to avoid litigation. The prosecution, I mean. I could see it from a mile away. He's part of the old boys club. I hate to say it, because he's done so much, but in lieu of all this that has happened, I'm not surprised that he was part of it, because he was head of Hockey Canada for years. And it's sad. It really is sad. Like, the entire legacy that he laid is, allegedly been tarnished. Can you say allegedly at this point? I don't know. Make of it as what you will, but I had to talk about this because it's just, he's part of the Oilers organization now, and honestly, if you're a part of, Daryl Cates' group, what do you say to the guy? Adios? I would, but that's just me. Save face ahead of time. But that's just my opinion, folks. That's all I'm going to say on that. But it's going to be interesting times, no doubt about it. Yeah, that's that's a no doubter right there. Anyways, I'm going to cut it short here. My top 5 for the week. Like I said there before, I talked about Logan Thompson. I talked about Jordan Bennington. Talked about Carter Hart. Talked about Eric Comrie. And lastly, I want to talk about Connor Hellebuck. He's done not too shabby for the Jets here this year as well. So that's my top 5 for this week of October the 25th. Maybe this will be a weekly thing. Top 5 goalies of the week. Maybe I'm missing a few here too. I don't know. There's been so many games. I've been sick as a dog dealing with migraines, but that's another story. Anyways, shout out to Carey Price. Shout out to everybody who's listening to this. I appreciate you all. And like I said, next episode, I'm going to have Jeff Haid on, Buffalo Sabres superfan. We're going to talk about the goaltending tandem that's surprising the heck out of everybody in the league. We're going to talk about that team as a whole, not just goaltenders. I want to go in depth there with their prospects and what the lineup has consisted of here as of late and how they've been so successful under Kevin Adams and Don Granato. Yeah, as I said there back in the summer, their whole scouting department there and their development department has just been off the chain here as of late, especially in the last year. But anyways, I'm going to let everybody go. Thanks so much for tuning in. Check out Heavy Hockey Net on Twitter. Check out heavyhockey.com. Check out World Hockey Report on Twitter. Check out the whole crew. Check out Oilers Live, man. Shout out to Michael Hebert, the godfather of the Heavy Hockey Network. Going ahead of myself here. Check me out on Twitter, CamRates1. And check out all the shows are on YouTube. Check out us on Facebook. I know Oilers Live is on everything. And Michael Hebert was doing a interview there with can't remember the gentleman's name, but he's from St. Louis, in lieu of tomorrow night's game, Oilers versus the Blues, which should be a dandy. Until next time, I'm Kirk Morris. You're listening to the Paddle Down Podcast on the Heavy Hockey Network. Thanks everybody for listening. See you next time.